Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our reaction and review for Bosch Legacy Season 2, Episode 3. So, we are now on the other side of the big Maddie Bosch cliffhanger. With that in mind, has everything changed after the 4-month time jump?
It absolutely hasn't. We've gone back to everything with Carl Rogers, my favorite story. Not really. If Carl Rogers was a spice, he'd be flour. This has been
Oh,
going on 4 seasons. This was going on regular Bosch. This is going on Bosch Legacy. This character's not even alive anymore, and we are still in the Carl Rogers era. Like this needs to just be done. I was so excited at the end of the last season where it
yeah.
was like Carl Rogers gone, all tied up. We moving into this new season with two crazy back-to-back episodes that were just so intense and so rich with story. Like this is like crime fighting at its best. I was so in on it. And it was like, and now 4 months later, we didn't get to see any sort of like not fallout, but like her going through a lot of this to get to the point to where she is, the aftermath, what happened, and then Carl Rogers, here we go.
Okay, this is just where I sort of feel like it's okay for shows to be a little bit more unrealistic. And I will explain further what I mean here. But before we do go any further here, be sure to join our Patreon. We have a link in the description
Mhm,
down below. Every single week, we have a live stream over
mhm.
there where we are talking all about Bosch Legacy. It's a really good time. We don't want you guys to miss anything over there. So be sure to join that Patreon. And thank you so much to everyone who has.
Yes, thank you so much. It really helps support us here at the channel to be able to continue making videos for everybody.
Okay.
All right, so how are you feeling about Carl Rogers and this whole storyline being rehashed once again?
Okay, this is where I talk about unrealistic stuff, and it's okay to be unrealistic because I'm sure in real life, with real police work, there's a lot of aftermath where you do have other people, other entities in law enforcement that are trying to figure everything out, trying to, piece it all together. I just don't care about it. Like, if I'm being totally honest here, I assumed that the time jump was going to be okay. We're going to allow for a reset of the world where we'll find out what Maddie's up to now. We'll find out what Harry's up to now. And
Mhm.
we can all take this big collective breath and then move on into something else. Because the other
Mhm.
thing here, let's get back to the title, Bosch Legacy.
Mhm.
This is not Bosch season blah, blah, blah. It's if you want to tell stories that trace back that far, just do the original Bosch again. Because I think the whole idea with Legacy is it's a new show, it's a
Mhm.
new opportunity. You are surely going to have a lot of dedicated, like original Bosch fans, but this is also, like you, this is a chance to appeal yourself to people who weren't watching so many years ago and try to reshape things. And there's there's some good back and forth. And I mean, Titus Welliver's always great. Don't get me
Mhm.
wrong. It's just that this is just not what I had signed up for. And I had hoped coming off of the first 2 episodes that I thought were really good, better than anything in season 1, that we kind of just settled back into spinning our wheels and not really presenting anything that's like incredibly compelling.
I truly didn't think that I was going to hear Carl Rogers' name again, let alone that we were going to be into this whole like FBI investigation, investigating Honey Chandler, going to be looking into the whole pipeline thing. It was just, it's such recycled material. We have gone through this. I am absolutely sure in real life there would be some sort of an investigation into this, but
Yeah.
it's not compelling TV to me to watch this continue on. Like you said, Carl Rogers was already going on regular Bosch. Then we're into legacies. He's still here. Now he's dead. He's still here. Like he just won't ever go away. And I know that that can happen in life, but it
Yeah.
doesn't need to happen here. If we're going to have this time jump where we don't really get to see the aftermath of Maddie dealing with everything that happened with Doc and to her and how she got through it, because we kind of catch up with her and she's doing much better. She's kind of riding a desk, doing some other type of police work, looking for a stolen bracelet and stuff like that. It's like, okay, all that is cool and fine and interesting. We don't have to get the aftermath. I would have liked it, but here we are. What I don't need is any more Carl Rogers. It's just like there's this huge time jump, and then we're back to this again.
The part of this episode I found the most interesting is, of course, the part we kind of gloss over the most, which is what's going on with Maddie. Because, like, we open with this sort of, like, pool sequence where she's just really just training herself to hold her breath for as long as possible. And, there are clearly a lot of functional reasons why she may want to do this after what she has gone through. But it's also a little bit unnerving. And this is something I would like for the show to unpack a little bit more of, okay, here's someone who went through a life-threatening situation. And while she may be training herself for further situations, there's still a very dangerous element to her being underwater, submerged for that long with nobody really around insofar as I could see, where she is just doing this.
Yeah, there's nobody around.
Yeah.
Like that I found the most interesting with it, that it really showed that while she may have talked a little bit about what's going on, we don't know because there's this big time jump and we didn't really get to dive too much into that. It seems that she's really holding on a lot to this herself and she's not really talking to anybody about it. So it makes sense that she would go to the pool by herself to do this by herself. This is for her to train herself that should she ever be in this situation again, I mean, why would she be? But if she's ever in this situation again, she's going to be able to get through it better than she did the last time, which I think she did pretty good. I mean, what was going on was pretty intense. But, we saw that she's going to have to make like an impact statement, for her and what she went through and stuff like that. And then we saw she's staying with Harry. She's not back at her place or any place. She's staying there and she's, sleeping with her gun. Like she's obviously still affected by this.
This is really what I'm most curious about moving forward, is that tinfoil hat on. Like, I think there's some sort of unraveling that's going to happen this season with this, where she's bottling enough of it up that I think eventually it's going to be a problem. And, she's clearly tough. She's like her dad. Like, both of them are really resilient people. And sometimes when you are that resilient, you don't really look at yourself in the mirror. You just think, okay, I went through it. I'll be fine. And then something comes up and then you realize I'm not fine. And I don't know when that's going to come. I don't necessarily think it's over the next couple of weeks. I think things will get better and then things will get worse again because this is Bosch and they want to give you a lot of tension moving up to the finale.
Yeah. And while she is, kind of riding a desk, taking in this like, oh, my bracelet got stolen, it seems like maybe she has stumbled into something a little more complicated than just this lady left this expensive bracelet on her seat. Like, is she somehow involved in it? Is there something bigger going on with the people that stole it? Like, it seems like there's something that could be a bit bigger.
I hope that actually leads her into kind of getting her own sort of foothold in the department and maybe doing something a little bit different, a little bit unexpected. I think it's been well established here on the channel that I am the patron saint of all heist-related storylines, but that would imply that I'm a saint, which I'm clearly not. But I am a purveyor of many a heist-related storyline. Can we have Bosch heist crimes featuring Maddie at the center of it? That storyline, it has potential based on where in which they take it. And, they want to do a lot of these reflections where Maddie is a reflection of her father. But to me, I think it's more interesting if you can sort of send her down directions Harry didn't go down before and sort of allow her to sort of become her own sort of cop.
Yeah, and what's also interesting is this case that's come up with Lexi, who is now dead, and it doesn't completely mirror what was going on with Doc, but there are similarities to it, and so it'll be interesting to see if that case also brings out a little bit more from Maddie and really actually kind of dealing with her stuff.
Yeah, we do have to talk about a major decision that was made here by the creative team, where the man in question is not world-renowned singer-songwriter producer David Foster, but somebody. Why did you name this person David Foster? Because every time I see this character now, I just think of, oh, what sort of, up and coming singer is about to come out and start duetting with him.
Yeah, I know, right? I heard the name too, and I was just like, wow, somebody got a problem with David Foster.
Yeah. What is happening here? No, I think the intriguing part of this storyline to me mostly is this idea of, okay, it doesn't seem like David Foster is really the killer, but that doesn't mean that David Foster was necessarily doing what supposedly he, laid out there as his story.
It's just very interesting because there is a lot of compelling DNA evidence everywhere. But part of the problem is that, he was somebody who Honey has represented before. So she's back here trying to help out. He tells her a lie right off, the bat here, being like, oh, I was with my wife. And she's just like, okay, well, I talked to your wife and that's not true. And he's like, oh, okay, well, this is what was really happening. I was with, my drug dealer. And she's like, okay, that's actually a bit of a better alibi because it's like, this is, the wife alibi is not always going to hold up because your spouse might lie for you. But, is the drug dealer going to lie for you? Probably not.
Yeah. And at a certain point here, not great that you're meeting up with this person, but you know what? This is better in the eyes of the law than, committing murder. And so this is where this storyline has incredible amounts of potential.
It does.
I'm going to say this right now. I wish that they threw everything with Carl Rogers just into the dumpster and they had given that time to this story because, we all love a good murder mystery, right? And I think we all like a good murder mystery even better when it is a case of somebody who is being wrongfully accused and you sort of have to piece things together and figure out exactly what happened. And I know the classic whodunit trope is like the most obvious trope of all time, but listen, there's a reason why 2,000 police dramas have been on the air since like the 1950s. It works every single time. It gets your audience engaged. There's no real drama or question marks in Carl Rogers other than what's going to happen to Bosch, but the title of the show is Bosch Legacy, so I kind of assume that he's going to find a way to get out of it.
Yeah, and Honey's gonna find a way to get out of it. I mean, I don't see anything really happening to them. I mean, people who are working with Honey, Rose and Ramirez has been meeting with the FBI, so that doesn't look good. And she's hired Bosch again to give him back that dollar to be like, listen, if we're gonna be meeting up, it has to be for a reason. So, I'm gonna hire you on for this Lexi case, and that way we can continue to meet up. And the FBI, who's probably trailing us, they don't got anything on us.
If there's one other bit of advice that I have for Harry at a certain point, and I know they won't do this because it would fundamentally end the show, just work on your house, Harry. Like you've got a lot that you need to be working on now, especially since you fired the help. So just concentrate on that. You can make your life better. You've got too much other stuff weighing you down, man.
Listen, now there's a couple other like weird tidbits that are going on that kind of went nowhere. We saw some guy get picked up at a bar, go back to hotels, see some headlights and leave, and then who knows? And then we saw this other story where it was like this guy was with a woman that wasn't his wife, and then all of a sudden some guys came in and was like, give me money, and that's it. So it's just, this is my biggest problem with this episode. There's too many things going on with not enough payoff on them. And then they've brought back Carl Rogers from the dead to like talk about the same stuff we've already resolved and all moved on from.
The most important thing remains the core group of characters. And I just think at the end of this, you need to focus on them. As long as they all have interesting things going on that are kind of connected with each other, you're gonna be okay. We don't need Carl Rogers and David Foster, not the singer producer, and also like all these other people.
The hotel guy, the married guy. Like there's too much happening. Just what worked so well in these two episodes is it was very focused in on a small group of core characters, and it was really intense. And I understand that not every episode can be intense,
Yeah.
but keeping it small and focused has worked really well for Bosch Legacy. And it worked well back in Bosch Regular whenever they had stories that were really focused in like that. It's one of the things that brings Bosch, above the rest of the crime dramas.
Well, luckily, we do still have a lot to go this season. Maybe
Mhm.
this will be a situation where it'll all make sense after all, and then we will sit back and be like, "What were we thinking in episode 3?" At least I hope that's the case. And just right now, I don't know.
I won't be. I'm over Carl Rogers. I'm so over it. I was over it last season. I'm more over it this season.
Well, we'll figure out how much you guys are over it in the comments. But of course, be sure to join our Patreon live streams over there every week,
Mhm.
talking about Bosch. Thank you so much to our patrons, and we'll see you
Thank
here
you.
next time.